And welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great day. Please leave a like, comment down below what you thought of today's action, and don't forget to subscribe. Well, by the title of this video, we have a brand new series coming to the channel. Yes, I know it's April 2025, and most likely, not a lot of you guys, there's not a lot of Madden 25 content really being posted anyway, so why am I doing this? Well, it's mostly for an experiment on my end. I came up with this idea early on, and I just never really got around to do so, but now I want to give it a try. So, by the title of this video, it's a new series called the 20-Year Rebuild. So, we're going to be taking the Arizona Cardinals, and over the next 20 episodes, we're going to be trying to rebuild this team. So, every single episode will start with the off season. We're gonna be, I've done this with the Texans, I've done this with the Bears franchise, where for 10 seasons, or 5 seasons more like it, I go through season by season, starting with an off season. We sim all the regular season games and see if we can make the postseason. So some of these episodes will be longer, some of them will be shorter. I don't know how long this one will be. But we're starting at the beginning of the offseason. The Eagles are just coming off the Super Bowl. We have over $100 million to work with. And yeah, let's go kind of get a little bit of a overview of this current roster that eventually will probably be changing a lot. For starters, we have our supposed to be quarterback in Kyler Murray. In real life, I think Murray is a solid quarterback, but at the end of the day, I don't think he's a game changer, and neither does Madden. He's the current ranked 16th quarterback. But the thing is with Murray is we're under a lot of money, and we kind of have to figure out if we can really make Kyler work. I don't know the restraints on his contract, if we can get out of it at any point in time, but Murray, he has to prove himself very quickly that he is the franchise quarterback of this team. Some other notable players, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr., drafted 4th overall in this past class. Excellent ratings. He's a very good player. Got to develop him. He is very key to this rebuild for the next 20 seasons, and hell, even basically the next 13 seasons, hopefully. Another good player to start out is Trey McBride, one of the better young tight ends. We're going to have to figure out how to extend him, but he's a very good player, and happy to have him on the team. And the last offensive player I will note here is Parrish Johnson here. 24 years old, already ranked the 5th best left tackle in the league. Parrish, if we can develop him, we might not have to worry about the left tackle position for a while in this franchise. When you flip it over here to the defense, well, this is where things kind of get a little bit more rocky. For starters, the youngest, probably best defender that we have is Garrett Williams here, corner. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's the number 1 guy. I think he's more or less the number 2. And then, of course, you can't forget about Budda Baker here. But Baker is older, and, he's going to be 30 by next season. So, he's not going to be in this rebuild for that long. But hopefully he could at least be a solid chess piece for our defense for at least the next handful of seasons. But we need a lot of help on this defense. This is where this team needs a lot of work. Front 7, safeties, corners, everything needs to be upgraded. So, this is gonna be a tough 20 episodes, tough 20 years. But can we turn this Cardinals team into, let's just say, let's try to win at least 1 Super Bowl. We have 20 years to do so, 20 episodes. So let's sim now to the next week here, and we're going to re-sign some players. Well, we got $112 million to work with. Baron Browning is out here, Zay Jones, a couple of depth players, Will Hernandez, Evan Brown, Chris Byard, Kazir White here. So a lot of our rotational - some starters, especially our 2 guards, are needing new contracts. And there's 4 guys that I really kind of want to start working with, and that's Hernandez, Evans, maybe Brown or White. One of these 2 guys I would like to keep. But let's start here with Will Hernandez. He wants a 2-year, $20 million deal. More than happy to give him a little bit more. And he wants to play for a new team next year. So Evan Brown's contract becomes a little bit more critical. I am willing to pay him a little bit more money. 2 years, 17, and we keep Evan Brown, so we don't have to worry too much. Now we have one less offensive lineman to worry about. And let's start here with Kaiser White. I know he's a little bit older, but I do like him a little bit better. I need linebackers, and he does stay. So now what do we do with Kevin Byard? What's a 3-year? I mean, I think these are two solid starting linebackers that I don't have to worry about, and they're pretty cheap. So we're going to get them contracts, go into open free agency with $97 million. Let's make a couple splashes for this team. Well, before we check out open free agency, you know, we're going to have a lot of money, and these are our needs. I would say offensively, a number 3 wide receiver, or maybe a number 2 would be more accurate. Getting ourselves maybe an upgrade somewhere along this line, maybe at right tackle. We definitely need another guard, as we were able to keep Evan Brown. But I think improving this offensive line would really help Kyler Murray a lot. Though, a lot more of my efforts will be on this defense. I think we need help at corner. I think we need defend the front 3. I think we need help at that other pass rusher. At the end of the day, we just need a lot more help on defense, so I'm expecting a lot more of my money to go in that direction. And we have $98 million. Let's see what we can do. Trey Smith is out here. Wow, that's huge. And I might have to be forced to get into that sweepstakes. Justin Simmons is out here, Trent Brown, Bobby Wagner. So a few, Jalen Holland here, Jeremy Chin. There's a couple very good players to target in this free agency pool. So in the first round here of this free agency, Trey Smith, absolutely I'm targeting him. Giving him a 5-year offer. Elijah Moore could become our number 3 receiver. Jared Tart here, good defensive tackle. DJ Jones, same thing. And then Marcus Davenport here. Just 3 veteran defensive linemen that could really kind of help us with depth. So let's evaluate here. Trey Smith is the big free agent get for us, and we don't get him. We got everyone else though. So Elijah Moore signs a 3-year deal. Tart and Jones and Davenport all sign 1-year deals. And Trey Smith is going to Tampa Bay. We're also missing out on Justin Simmons and Jeremy Chin. So our need at offensive line is even greater right now. I got a few more targets that I want to go get. Bobby Wagner, Javon Holland, he would be our biggest addition to this team. Trying to bring back Will Hernandez and a backup quarterback in Derek Carr, that is important. Let's see, after evaluating, Wagner has not made a choice, and someone did, and that was Holland. And where did he sign? He signed with Washington. I think we gave him more money too. So I think now we sim to the next week. I won't make any more veteran decisions. But yeah, we're going to turn our attention to the draft. And I'm going to be targeting a few more depth pieces. Trent Brown, though, will be probably the biggest addition if we can land him. Kind of rebuilding up this offensive line. Xavier Woods is another player that I want. Elijah Moulton, Jamie Davis, Derek Carr, Matt Gay. And we got Will Hernandez to come in, so currently we have the same 5 starting linemen. If we bring in Trent Brown, we would at least have 1 new lineman, which is kind of what I'm looking for. But I think we now turn our attention to this draft. As we've made it to the NFL draft, we currently have the 16th overall pick. This is the obvious big question is what direction do we want to go with this team? As you guys can see, we did pick up Trent Brown, so we upgraded pretty massively here to our tackle position. We'll see if Brown is going to be out anytime during the regular season. I didn't know he was injured. But still, we have him and Will Hernandez, and Hernandez is also hurt. But I think both of them should be back. We might actually have to consider taking a lineman early in this class. But at the end of the day, I think we have 3 young, good receivers, a good tight end, a good young back. This pick might lean more in the direction of the defense. Maybe trying to get a corner. We brought in Xavier Woods, and Elijah Moulton as well. So 2 new solid depth safety spots here. So I don't really know yet what I want to do. Currently we're picking at 16. Yeah, I think we're gonna let probably the first 7 to 9 picks go. When you look at the board here, this draft class is all about quarterback. The top 5 prospects are all quarterbacks, so I'm expecting a lot of these guys to go quickly. I do see a top 5 player here in Sidney Codleway here, who is a guard, 22 years old. Sidney here could be a fun player to add and kind of solidify or booster this offensive line. I have a lot of linemen in my thought process. So we see Phil Holtz here as a 1-2 talent. He could be a good player. Let's look at just my favorites. I have a couple quarterbacks, but it looks like Greg Allman here, another as a receiver. He's a 2 to 3 round. So I don't know. I think Callaway is right now my current favorite player on my board, but I'm not going to trade up for a guard unless it's right around pick 9, 10. So let's see what 1080C does here in the draft. They drafted a quarterback, Preston Kennedy, first projected quarterback. And then I see Elijah Fletcher here. He goes. He was one of the better edge rushers in this class. The Giants go a quarterback. They go Lawrence House here. So quarterbacks and edge rushers, and I believe this was Callaway, and it was. So the Patriots got themselves a top 5 player at number 4, as the Jags go Manny Holiday, corner. So now, what direction do I, where am I thinking about going? I think this kind of goes back to best player available. Maybe we try to focus a little bit more on defense. As of right now, there goes Philip Holt, who I did really like. He would have been a current or consideration here. The Saints, they go quarterback here. And now we have 6 picks before us. We have no division, or the Niners. The Niners are the only divisional team. Let's check out this board here and see if there's any players that I really want. So there's a couple tackle options here in the top. I wasn't considering that. We could go corner. We could try to trade up for a corner if we wanted to. Maybe. Honestly, guys, I don't think that there's a player that is truly worth trying to go up and go get. At least not where we're sitting. I mean, these are all the first round guys still out there. And the only one that I have 100% on is Greg Allman, who's a 2 to 3 talent. So I think we kind of sit back. We let everything come to us. So the Bears will go. They go a pass rusher. And I am considering more, maybe trying to get a playmaker or something. Sam O'Donnell here, tackle, goes to the Niners. There goes the corner, going to the Cowboys. Dolphins go a pass rusher. The Colts go a corner. And the Falcons will go a pass rusher. So we're on the clock. Currently sitting here at 16. There's two quarterbacks still here out there. But when we turn to my board, we could, end up with a tackle. Could go defensive tackle. A corner could be a smart selection. Man, this is definitely tough. And here with the first selection in this draft, it will be Blake Sherwood here. An excellent run blocker. We'll have to work on his pass pro, but maybe a little bit high drafting him. I saw a bunch of A's, which I like, but Sherwood does have hidden development, 86 strength. He can move, 75 speed. He could play potentially guard as well, and he might have to. I feel like Blake here, I wanted to go best player available. I decided to go with most likely what's the biggest need for this team entering into this season, and that was, in my opinion, this offensive line. So I went with the best lineman available. I saw Dwight Felix go. He was a consideration here. A quarterback goes here to Pittsburgh. So we've seen a lot of those guys go already. Packers will go corner. I am considering trading up here. Just trying to hit my luck and maybe get another player on basically a 5-year contract, because it's important to really nail your first class, and not hugely in love with, picking the 44th ranked player. So far, no one that's jumping off of these players jumping off the board for me. But this will be the first spot that I'm going to try to trade up here with the Chiefs. Decided not to trade up here. I'm going to let these picks kind of go. And we're going to sim now to the 48th selection. We're going to go with a deep threat here in Zachary Moore with the 48th pick. And this is another massive reach on my end. Wow. He does have hidden development, so we have back-to-back hidden dev players, but again, picking a little too high, maybe some of these more value picks in the later rounds. And here in the 3rd round, Jonathan Rivers will be the selection. Just trying to add some defensive line depth. And again, we're kind of picking a little too high, but another hidden dev player. He does have 8 power moves. Excited to see what Rivers can provide for our defensive line. Now we're going to go to the well of the running back. Daniel Johnson here will be the selection, as Johnson is ranked 36. So we got a steal here, 87 speed, normal development. That's okay. And with our last pick here in the 5th round, and our last pick in this draft, we're going to go with Tyrone Duval here. He's a run stopper. I like him out of everyone else. He's a different positional group. And Duval, we got him right around, actually, we got him a little later after than he was projected to go. And 85 speed, that's solid normal development. Yeah, so overall, I would say a solid C- class, at least in terms of where I got my players. I think we hit on most of them. I think that, we did relatively well drafting. It's just maybe we drafted a couple players a little too early. So Blake Sherwood here, 73 overall hidden development. I mean, for the 16th pick, this might be a little too early, but I think he is solid, well-rounded. Just gotta work on the power blocking, but I like where he's at. In the 2nd round, I decided to go a receiver in Zachary Moore, if the game will load for me. Moore's 23, 6 foot. I wanted to get a receiver in this class. And Zachary, even with hidden development, he has a lot to do and a lot to prove. This is definitely a bad selection on my end. Probably could have gone in a different direction there. In terms of Jonathan Rivers, 70 overall. Rivers, another hidden development player. 79 power moves to start out is nice. We're going to get Rivers on the field immediately, and he's going to play a lot for us, and hopefully he can get to the quarterback. And then we got a running back here, Daniel Johnson here. More of a power back, but hey, he's solid. He can kind of catch the football. He also has 99 injury, so that's nice to see as well. And then finally, Duval here, a middle linebacker, more of a run stopper. Gotta work on his zone coverage, but the block shed and hit power in a nice spot. He can tackle. Yeah, you know, I would say a very solid class, nothing to scream about. But at least for the first class, you know, if Blake here can be at least somewhere a starting offensive lineman throughout a majority of this franchise, and, you know, we get 4 role players, yeah, I think that this is a fine class to start with. When you look at the entirety of the draft, we see that Sidney Cotwell is an 81 overall, and yeah, he would have been a solid player to pick up. As we picked here at 16. Who else could have we snagged? We could have gotten a defensive tackle. I debated about it. Decided not to go in the direction of the quarterback position or the corner. But I am kind of happy with how we handled this draft. Overall, you know, Greg Allman here, he was the player that I was looking for. Yeah, he would have been, yes, he would have been the better receiver prospect and player, also hidden development, but route running is all in a good spot. Yeah, this would have been a much better selection than Zachary Moore. Yeah, the highest overall looks like an 81. We did have a chance here to draft a top 4 player and Travis Pratt here, but did not go in that direction. But he would have been the only other highest overall player we could have gotten. So that's okay. Let's move on to the preseason now. Well, this will be the opening roster for year 1, technically, of the franchise. To start off this season, we're dealing with injuries. Marvin Harrison Jr. is out for week 1. Trent Brown's hurt. So we're seeing Wilson and Moore will have to step up this week. We're starting our rookie tackle. We're starting our other rookie pass rusher as well. Mike Haynes here. He was out there in free agency. We picked him up as an undrafted player. Happy to find him because that kind of makes up for this class potentially. But how things are going to work here in year 1 is I'm going to be simming pretty quickly, probably 4 to 5 games, and then we're gonna check back in with the team and stuff. But I would assume as years kind of continue, we will watch some games. Maybe we'll watch one today. I don't think I will. But we're gonna go through slower throughout, you know, in the middle portion of the season, and then probably quicker at the end. So let's sim here. Week 1. Do we get the victory over our rivals in Seattle? As we do, we win 16-13. Great way to open. Your defense plays excellent. I love to see that. We're 1-0 here. Let's get through a bit more of this season, and then we'll check back in. And through the 5 weeks of the year 1, we are 4-1. Currently, we're in top 10 in all 3 or all 6 major categories. We are currently the number 5 seed behind the 49ers, who are 5-0. And, you know, we're looking very solid out there. Let's take a look at the stats. So far, Kyler Murray is, though, not the reason we're having this hot start. 7 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. That's not good for our quarterback that we're trying to figure out if he's truly the future of this team or not. So how are we being successful? We're not really running the football all that great. To a certain extent we are. Passing wise, it's been Michael Wilson and Trey McBride. We see Marvin Harrison Jr. kind of having a slow start to this young campaign. So it's not really a sight that I want to see. The offensive line, they're playing great. I can't say anything bad about this line right now. Is it the defense, I guess? We're not getting a ton of sacks, but we're stopping the run kind of solidly. We're getting some turnovers. Happy to see that, but I don't really know how we're 4-1 with a top 10 offense. I just don't understand this team. Currently 12 players needing new contracts. We have $42 million to work with. Trey McBride, Jalen Thompson, Marcus Davenport, Mike Haynes, couple key players to this team. The first one, though, that I want to get out of the way is Trey McBride. I can't see myself letting him walk. 25 years old. Would love to keep him. I'll sign today if there was some way to improve the... He wants to improve his interest to the team. So what are his motivators? Franchise quarterback or switch to a different scheme? I guess we could do that. I don't know. For Mike Haynes, he's the undrafted rookie, and he wants a 4-year, $31 million deal. I am not going to be paying that unless he has a breakout season. But we're 4-1. Year one is looking good for us. Let's now sim a little bit more. We're going to sim probably to week 8, week 9, and see if we're going to make any sort of trades. So we've made it to the trade deadline. We're 6-2. Very good on us. We're still currently the 5th seed. And this is kind of making me feel like we don't need to really be sellers. I do want to get McBride under contract. I am not going to be changing up our scheme. I'm just going to offer him more money. And McBride does sign. But that leaves us with $25 million to work with. Jalen Thompson, he might be the only one that makes sense to trade. Strictly because we did sign Elijah Moulton, and we do have a couple other safeties. So let's try to trade away Thompson. Try to get a draft pick. I don't know, maybe a 3rd, 4th rounder. And I'm going to take this offer here from the New Orleans Saints. Brian Perceive, a defensive tackle, 23 years old. You know, I don't think the Saints should make this trade, but they just did. And I am gladly going to take Perceive, increasing our defensive line. And yes, our secondaries might get, our safeties might get a little worse, but at the end of the day, I'm happy where we're at here. We got a young defensive tackle to kind of build around. As we've made it to the bye week, we're 10-3, currently the number 1 seed here in the conference. Kind of a surprise little twist here early on in this campaign and this franchise in of itself. Do we make the playoffs in the first year of this 20-year rebuild? That would be huge. It looks like Kyler Murray has started to turn things on. Let's do a little bit of a stat update. Murray's top 5 in terms of passing yards, but the 18 interceptions is definitely a pause of concern. Running-wise, Murray looking excellent. 14 touchdowns. Wow, that's big. Michael Wilson here, he's having himself a breakout campaign. He's gone up to superstar development. So we have now 2 big-time young superstars at receiver. But we see Marvin Harrison Jr., slow season. Really need him to pick it up, but Trey McBride's played good. Elijah Moore's showing to be a good complement piece. So that's nice to see. Offensive line, Paris Johnson is struggling right now. But not really too worried about the offensive line. Buda Baker leads us in tackles. We have 9.5 sacks from Xavier Collins. Darius Robinson has 5.5. Mike Haynes has 3.5. Seen some pressure, and we're getting some turnovers, definitely. Happy to see that. So far here in year 1, making a lot of noise here in the conference. Let's get to the playoffs. Let's see if we can make it into the postseason. Well, we're going to definitely make the postseason, but let's see if we can make any noise here in the playoffs. Here in year 1, the Arizona Cardinals have made it to the postseason. We're 12-5. We are currently the number 2 seed. So, you know, we were able to bring in some solid players in free agency, and this team wasn't too bad. But it's a pop-off season as we go from, you know, the middle of the road to now one of the best teams here in the NFC. We're going to be playing a divisional rival here in the Rams. So can we move on here to the divisional round? I mean, starting this series hot here are the Cardinals. We beat LA 20-17. That's huge. You know, we have upgrades to do. We're gonna just auto upgrade all of these guys. But wow, I mean, already winning our first playoff game in year 1. Could this franchise turn into a dynasty? As we lost big time here to the Detroit Lions, 44-19. And that is today's action here today, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna sim now. Let's look at the Pro Bowl list. Kyler Murray is the best quarterback. That's interesting. We will do a stat update and stuff. No running backs, no fullbacks. Michael Wilson got in. Trey McBride as well. In terms of offensive linemen for us, I'm not seeing any. Defensively, Hassan Reddick got in, but not us. Xavier Collins, that's us. So we have a few Pro Bowlers to start off this series. We see Jalen Thompson here, who we traded away. Buda Baker got in. And yeah, so we do have a few Pro Bowlers. Let's look at these stats. How did we get to this point? 31 touchdowns here for Murray, 22 interceptions. I think what this proves to me is that Murray might be in a very good scheme for him, that we're utilizing his abilities to the fullest potential, but it's still a pause of concern with the turnovers. So if he can clean it up in year 2, I'm going to be content. Trey Benson didn't have a great, really first year, but 6 scores, 600 yards. Might need to consider drafting a running back, but Kyler Murray, he took a bulk of the carries. Michael Wilson went for 1,400 yards and 16 scores. This is what I thought Marvin Harrison Jr. would be doing for us, but Michael Wilson is showing that he's the top dog here potentially at receiver. In terms of offensive line play, everyone other than Paris Johnson allowed only 4 sacks or less, so that's nice to see. I don't know if that means that Paris Johnson will have to be moved. I don't think so. But Xavier Collins and Darius Robbins had a good amount of sacks with Mike Haynes. Happy to see that as well. And 4 interceptions here for Buda Baker. Let's go look at any sort of yearly awards. MVP is Josh Allen, as not even Kyler Murray got enough votes. He got in, he's number 6. We were the coach of the year, so that's huge. In terms of the NFC, we'll focus on us. So number 2 here for Michael Wilson. Number 2 here for Zay Collins. So kind of getting the runner-ups. Rookie of the year for the offense. Not us. Defensively, not us. Quarterback, not us. Running back, no. Receiver, no. We had 2 back there, or 1 at least. Offensive line, surprisingly, only just Will Hernandez. Zay Collins, best linebacker. That's nice to see. And then Matt Gay, best kicker. So happy to see that. It's a great start here in the franchise. So we're gonna now sim here to the beginning of the off season. But this is a nice start for this team. I mean, and the franchise. I mean, I was expecting that this episode would be much quicker and, you know, there's not a lot of things to talk about. But at the end of the day, we made it to the postseason. We have to figure out if Kyler Murray's the future or not. But we have players around him that are very good. At the end of the day, you can't really deny the fact that, you know, Michael Wilson can become a true legitimate number. You know, he just went up to X Factor. You know, we truly might have one of the better young duos at receiver. Throw on top of the fact Elijah Moore, we see that our offensive lineman we drafted has starred dev. We still have Trey McBride. I mean, I think we have a chance, a legitimate chance here to make early in this franchise to be making some good postseason runs. Defensively, we've improved. Bringing in Brian Proceed here. He's a nice addition to this defense. So we'll see. So yeah, guys, let me know down below what you thought of today's action. Please leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Yeah, this is an experiment on my end, so each episode might have a different feel. There are certain things that I might focus on in different episodes. So yeah, guys, let me know down below what you thought. Give me any suggestions that you have. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.